Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something I think every ambitious professional, every business leader really needs to get their head around. Global expansion strategy.
Yeah, and this is a big one.
It is. And we're not just talking about, selling a few products overseas. This is about building a durable, resilient operating system that actually works across borders.
That's a vital distinction. I mean, for so long, going global just meant exporting something that worked at home.
Right.
But the source material we're looking at here, it reframes that completely. It defines expansion as covering sales, yes, but also compliant hiring and actually running operations abroad. It's a full enterprise commitment.
Okay, so let's unpack that. It's a mindset shift,
Yeah.
right? Moving from just a product launch to building a second or third self-sustaining part of the business.
Exactly. And the source leashed out these 4 core ingredients for a strong plan, and they're all about minimizing chaos, really.
Sure.
Well, first, define S.M.A.R.T objectives, then deep market research, and I mean deep. Third is cultural adaptability baked right into your operations. And fourth is a really smart local hiring approach. These aren't just, check boxes. They are the foundation.
And the benefits, they have to justify all that work.
Oh, they do. We're talking about real competitive advantages. You're opening up totally new revenue streams.
Access to talent, too, I'd imagine.
Huge. Access to specialized international talent, people with niche skills you just can't find at home. And, of course, achieving economies of scale, which, hits the bottom line directly.
And I guess the big one is diversifying risk.
That's the resilience piece. If your home market slows down, your operations in Asia or Europe can keep you growing. It's really a manual for long-term business health.
So if we're going to treat this like a real strategic operating system, we have to start where all good strategy begins. The objectives.
Yes. The framework is really insistent on this. You have to turn that vague ambition of we want to be bigger into something crisp, measurable.
So what does success actually look like?
That's the critical first step. Are your goals specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound? That S.M.A.R.T acronym is key here. Vague ambition is just the enemy.
The source gives some pretty concrete examples, right?
It does. Like a sauce company might target, say, 15% of its total revenue from the European market within 18 months.
Okay, that's specific. You can track that. It sets a deadline.
Exactly. And that goal drives everything else: compliance, hiring, tech. Or maybe you're a manufacturer. Your goal might be a 20% cost reduction by moving production to Southeast Asia. That's not measured in revenue, it's measured in cost per unit.
And once you have that goal locked in, then you move to validation.
Rigorous market validation. Before a single dollar is spent, you have to validate not just the demand, but also the operational friction.
Okay, so what are the non-negotiables there for anyone listening? What can't you skip?
Well, beyond the obvious stuff like market size and competition, the real non-negotiables are in the localization details.
Like what?
You have to analyze customer behavior, and this is critical local payment preferences. Do they use digital wallets? Is invoicing the norm?
That sounds like such a small detail, but I can see how getting that wrong could just cripple your cash flow.
It can kill conversion. But then there are the cultural and regulatory checks. And localization is not just translating your website.
Right.
You have to proactively catalog local tax laws, labor laws, any sector-specific rules. All of that stuff shapes your messaging, your support, everything.
So assuming the market is viable, we've mapped the friction. Then we have to decide how to actually get in there.
And that's the entry model choice. This is where your risk tolerance really gets tested.
There are 4 main paths, as I understand it.
That's right. You can look at it as a spectrum. On one end, you have exporting. It's low cost, fast to start.
But you have almost no control?
Next to none.
Yeah.
Overpricing, the customer experience, your brand, it's a gamble.
Okay, what's next?
Then you have licensing or joint ventures. This can speed up your rollout. You can serve capital, but you're risking your IP and quality control.
And then the high commitment options.
That's when you get into subsidiaries or acquisitions. This gives you full control, full profit capture. But the cost, the compliance overhead, the integration risk, it's just exponential.
And that's the trap, isn't it? The source mentions the Target Canada failure.
A perfect, if painful, example.
They went straight for the high commitment subsidiaries, and it was a disaster.
It was. They rushed it. They prioritized speed over validation. Their inventory systems didn't work. They misread the culture on pricing. The supply chain was a mess. It doomed them before they even really started.
Which perfectly illustrates why you have to validate before you commit that kind of capital.
Exactly.
So if the lesson is test first, what's the best tool for that? For agile testing, without a huge investment, we should probably clarify the difference between the flexible options.
Yeah, this is key. The tactical difference between an employer of record, an EOR, and a professional employer organization, a PEO, is so important. The EOR model is for starting lean. It lets you hire compliant staff, handle all the payroll and benefits, and test a market without setting up your own local legal entity.
So it's an immediate agile entry point.
It is. A PEO, on the other hand, usually requires you to already have a local entity set up. It's for a deeper commitment when you've already validated the market.
So EOR for testing, PEO for scaling up an existing entity.
You got it. Choosing the wrong one can either expose you to legal risk or force you to overcommit way too early.
Okay, let's switch gears to the operational side. Turning strategy into a well-oiled machine. Starting with talent. Local hires seem to be the key.
Absolutely. The insight here is that you need a core local team for that durable in-region ownership, people who get the market. But you can blend that with short-term hires to manage the initial ramp-up.
And the cost of that talent is where a lot of companies get it wrong. The source has a pretty big warning here.
It's often the single biggest financial shock. You have to factor in the total cost of employment.
Which is more than just salary.
Oh, way more. In many developed countries, employer contributions for things like Social Security, health, retirement, they can reach 30, 40, even 50% of the base pay.
50%. So a salary decision is actually a salary plus half decision?
That's a good way to put it. If you model a new market based only on base salaries, your entire financial forecast is basically useless.
Because you're missing things like France's mandated 5 weeks of vacation or specific employer taxes somewhere like Singapore.
Precisely. These are not optional perks. They are compliance requirements that hit your budget hard.
And speaking of compliance, the framework treats it as an operational lens, not some legal thing you deal with later. What are the high-stakes warnings there?
It's all about avoiding massive fines. Compliance has to be proactive. The source uses that great example of Germany's central packaging register.
Right.
If you sell products in Germany and you fail to register your packaging to contribute to recycling, you can face fines up to 200,000 euros.
Wow. That's not a small mistake.
But hang on, if the rules are that complex, from packaging to labor law, doesn't obsessing over perfect compliance just slow you down too much? I mean, especially for a startup.
That's the tension, right? The classic move fast and break things versus move carefully and don't get sued.
But the framework argues the risk isn't linear. The cost of one major fine or a lawsuit over misclassifying an employee can easily wipe out your first year of revenue gains. So the cost of compliance is really an investment in stability.
And that brings us to the tools that manage all this complexity, the global tech stack.
Yes. This is where the operating system really comes together. You need systems that centralize everything.
So on the HR side.
On the HR side, you need a good applicant tracking system, an ATS, and a global HRIS and payroll system, think Workday or Bamboo HR, that is built for compliant local hiring. If your system doesn't understand Spanish labor law automatically, you're exposed.
And for keeping everyone coordinated across time zones.
You need clear service level agreements or SLAs and great async tools like Trello or Monday.com. And on the finance side, this is crucial.
Yeah, tools like Brex for expense control, Carta for equity, and reliable FX partners like Wise or Mercury. You have to proactively manage currency risk. It can't be an afterthought.
Okay, final hurdle, supply chain and pricing. Getting the product there and getting paid without losing your shirt.
The key takeaway here is you must model the landed cost end to end.
That means?
It means duties, customs, freight, local taxes, the cost of returns, local support, everything. If you don't, you're basically subsidizing your own expansion with hidden costs.
And to avoid the customs headaches.
Use established local distributors. They know the system. They handle customs. They manage that last mile delivery. But, and this is a big but, you need strict SLAs and governance with them. Vendor risk becomes global risk.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. The whole framework is about disciplined sequencing. No more reactive expansion.
That's the core message. Start by scoring your potential markets on 4 things: demand, competition, regulation, and operational fit. Then use those agile tools we talked about, like EORs, to run small pilots.
And measure everything. Everything. Measure your customer acquisition cost, your lifetime value by region. Have clear go or no-go decision points based on that data. The goal is that each success funds the next move.
So the big takeaway is, a successful plan combines clear S.M.A.R.T objectives, ruthless market research, deep operational localization, and a partner ecosystem that minimizes your risk from day one.
And you use disciplined measurement to turn what could be a noisy, chaotic launch into repeatable learning.
So final question to ask yourself is...
It is. Have you defined the measurable KPIs that will force you to pivot, pause, or push ahead? Or are you just relying on sunk costs and momentum? Separating that emotion from the data is what leads to sustained global success.
That is the essential thought to leave with. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for this deep dive on the SmartKeys podcast.
We really hope this framework helps you start small, measure well, and let each global success fund the next move.
To dig deeper into the examples and checklists we talked about, be sure to read the full source article, Global Expansion Strategy, a framework for success in new markets. We've put the link directly in the show notes for you.
And if you found these strategic insights valuable, please subscribe to the SmartKeys podcast wherever you listen. It really helps you stay ahead.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.